So today's 31st of March 2016. This is part 3 of me reading my notes on my ayahuasca diet in Pucallpa, Peru in February and March. Actually, it was just in February. These are notes just before before ceremony 3 still. And Ines, who's the Maestra, the oldest one, dropped by with Lila or Laura, not sure which one. She sat down in front of me and asked me to sit on the floor in front of her. She started to whistle blow into a cup with a plant drink in it. So she's got this drink and she does this and goes something that sounds like that. But she knows what she's doing, and right then I had no clue what I was doing. That lasted a few minutes while her daughter asked me to concentrate bonito. Concentrate bonito, like concentrate well. My sabotaging ego scattered my mind with thoughts saying crazy shit, anything to dismiss Ines and the process, anything to distract me from change. It seems there is a war on between my fucking ego and the true me, the conscious me. That sure is. I'm very tired of my constantly yip-yap chattering bollocks ego. Lila Laura, or slash Laura, said we are halfway and that a lot of work remains to be done in ceremonies 3 and 4. So at first, I was due to stay only for 4 ceremonies. I ended up doing 5, and that was really good because, as you will see in a later episode, Ceremony 5 was the most intense thing that I've ever been through. It was absolutely fascinating and amazing, really incredible shit. I think she meant put your back into it. I'm definitely asking for a very heavy dose next time. I need a cosmic kick up the arse, no doubt there. I overheard them talking with Mike next door. He seems to be getting messy visions too. We need to open up and feel more. Think less, feel more. It just seems to get even harder in ceremony because I'm expecting to be shown and taught and nothing seems to make any sense. I just want to be shown what I need to learn so I can move on. I'm tired of being a wimp before life. It is so fucking lame and tiring, and I know that all that depends merely on me depends merely on me becoming aware of everything inside me and on my very own perspective. Lunch just arrived with it, and with it, oh surprise, a chunk of chicken. Wow, that was amazing. That's the first piece of meat in 8 or 10 days. Was rather tasty too, felt quite salty. Not sure if that was by contrast or whether it really was that salty. Anyhow, it could be the most appreciated chunk of chicken I've ever had. I admire those staying for 4 weeks because some of us were staying for 2 weeks and some of us were staying for 4 weeks. I'm only halfway through my 2 weeks and I'm already admiring those staying for 4. I might have to come back. There certainly seems to be more potential here than in one-off ceremonies in cities, but I could be wrong. I'm quite interested to try Daniel's shaman friend's ayahuasca. He supposedly does one designed to be taken alone at home. Now, that's a good idea. I'd forgotten about that. Just as Ines had finished this morning, she looked at me tenderly, smiled, reached for my head, then kissed me on the top of the forehead. Maybe she could sense my need for motherly love. Thank you, Mother Ines. It must be around 6 p.m, candles on again. I just did something incredibly stupid. I checked if I had network on my French phone. I have no idea why, just bored I guess. Also, I was really frustrated that I don't have any meditation tracks with me in my Dropbox. I thought maybe I could download 1 or 2. I just disconnected a lot and in the end I got nothing. Zilch, nada, fuck all. But I did receive an SMS alert from my provider telling me that I had just spent 50 euros and that the service had been deactivated. Well, that was smart. Indeed, it looks like it's 2.5 euros per megabyte. Genius. It's hard to understand how one can spend so much money immaterially from a wooden hut in the middle of nowhere. Super smart. No dinner came today. Then I talk about using the candles because after 4 or 5 p.m. it gets dark, you need the candles. This is the next day, February 15th, around 8 a.m. I've become quite good at predicting the time. After the longest night ever, with hours of awake time, I woke again at 7:30. Because what I would do is my phone would be off, but I'd turn it on occasionally to check the time because I'd like to know when to expect food or whatever. I've taken my morning shinipapana, which is which tastes neither good nor bad, and I've had a shower. That shinipapana is a plant that was taken, that was like the master plant that we were supposed to diet with, and was designed. I have the description somewhere. I'll read it. I'll add it to the comments, or the description of this video. And if I remember well, it was essentially to help you get rid of bad thoughts. I dreamt there was a big, huge-ass snake in my room, which woke me up. It took me a moment to come back down and realize where I was. I dreamt of other things, but they escaped me. Although I might well be relieved to get out of here, I don't think 2 weeks will be enough to rid me of my habits. Yesterday's episode with the phone sort of proves it. Yet I say that and feel I will want to avoid various things. Certainly milk. I can remember how the carnation burnt my throat after the first toad. Certainly anything sweet or rather salty, cake, anything industrial, meat. I wonder if we shall be given meat again today, or if we shall see the Maestros again today. If only it could be rain all day and cool things down. I need to do push-ups today. Yeah. Occasionally I would do some push-ups. I'd do about 50 a day. Not every day, especially days after the ceremony, I would be wiped out. And I would do some crouching, some squats. Squats, I think they're called. One dream I do remember from a good 3 or 4 days ago at least is one that woke me up with the sensation I had been almost crying out loud. Mike would be able to confirm, but I cannot ask. I was at Massy. Massy is where my mother lives. It's in the southern suburbs of Paris. I was at Massy, which didn't look like Massy at all and felt more like Granny's place at Folksworth, my grandmother, English grandmother, or maybe even the previous house by the sea. I can't remember what that place was called, if it was Kenilworth, or I can't remember what that place was called. I was quite literally trapped in junk 2 meters high and got very, very frustrated and emotional about it as I desperately fought my way out. When I woke up, I realized that I should not inflict such frustration upon myself and calmed down immediately. I do still rationalize the reaction as kind of healthy, a reaction of rejection of this horrible oppressive mess, self-created hell. Yeah, so the story behind that is that my brother and mother are hoarders. Okay, they accumulate shit. Don't get rid of it. Now they don't keep the trash, but they, somebody throws something out on the street, that could be useful. They take it, and they'd be doing that for, I suppose, as long as we've been in France. 1984 more or less. And we've been in 3 different homes, or at least they have been, and well, my brother's been in more than that, and every single time it's been an incredible fucking mess. I mean, and that it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts because there is a really fucking simple solution. First, go and see a shrink. Secondly, take objects in your hand, put the object in a bin bag, and that's it. It's really not that fucking hard. But I need to move on because otherwise I'm going to get really pissed and start calling out some really harsh names. So anyway, yeah, so the problem is when I go to France, I have to live at my mother's place, which is a fucking hellhole of mess. Half of which is my brother's, whose discourse has changed over the last few years, but his actions haven't. So he's like, no fucking change. And I have to deal with that, and I try to clear mess and take it out, but they resist it, of course, and hold on to everything desperately because their ego doesn't want them to change. So I say of all this horrible, oppressive mess, this self-created hell, I do not want that for myself. And looking back to my childhood, things were already like that back then. I do not understand why Guillaume, my brother, could not appreciate the difference when he moved out. Why he had to reproduce the same thing immediately and possibly even worse. Yeah, he managed to reproduce in a very short lapse of time the same thing in the room that he was renting. He was renting a room with somebody. He still is, actually. It's still a mess. But the previous room he literally had things up to the ceiling, like actually up to the ceiling in his room, and this little corridor from the door to his bed with shit on each side. And then his bed would be covered in junk, and he'd have to take things off his bed to be able to sleep at night. And so there was zero space in that room, and everything was up to the ceiling. And what kind of fucked up, sick mind does that and doesn't want to change? And that's what I don't get, and that drives me nuts. Like, people that don't want to change. I see him as a person, and he has the nerve to tell you he wants peace and calm. I see him as a person who's in the desert and has asked for a glass of water, and when you bring it to him, he just goes, "Oh, that's not for me," and walks the other way. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, really. I don't get it. It drives me fucking nuts. I think maybe he should see a shrink. Yeah, there's no fucking doubt about that. It might help him to say a few things he really wants and to understand what's going on. Okay, breakfast just came. Blah de blah de blah. I need to learn jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that would be cool. That could be a good way to get fit while learning something useful. Anything that can reduce my fear and increase my self-confidence is worth implementing. Okay. All right. Let's. The Maestro seem to be nice, caring people. If I overheard well, when our visions are messy, they are saddened. I would really like to talk with them and with other shamans about how it all works to get a better understanding of how they do it and what they actually do. One thing I think I forgot to note, after ceremony 1, my armpits smelled a lot stronger. I'm not sure why this is. I want to elaborate a list of questions to ask Mike Strauss, the electric man, when I interview him for Mexico Real. Alright, so I've got a list of questions here. I'll skip that. Okay. Okay, doke. Sorry about this. Oh, yeah. This Shipibo community had a system of communicating with each other, which was they have these loudspeakers, and every afternoon around about the same time, and every evening, and it goes till quite late, till like maybe 9:30 or 10 or then at night. They speak on the thing, and I don't know if there's a guy who's a priest or whatever, and they play some music, horrible music, the worst quality music I've ever heard. I mean, it's just dreadful, fucking dreadful. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so this is my notes about that. Here I say something. My ego is an absolute sabotaging cunt, and I'm starting to feel schizophrenic. Like I have this little red cartoon devil bugger inside my mind, controlling that playground. What bothers me inside ayahuasca visions is that I never know what comes from Aya and what comes from my tampering ego. I wonder what happens if you take 2 or 3 full cups of ayahuasca. Every afternoon and evening, someone in the settling starts talking and playing usually very, very bad music on these PA speakers. This guy just babbles on non-stop for hours, and he fucking did. This guy just, he sounds like a zealous priest, desperate to convince through a rain of noise, obliterating any other options the listener's mind might have had otherwise. He occasionally plays a 5-note shit tune that even a circus would be ashamed of, and it just repeats dozens of times. The guy should have worked for Goebbels. Were I a local, I would surely move out just because of him. Failing that, I'd have to cut the wires to his speakers at night when no one is looking. I wonder how that works. Do people like listening to that? Do some hate it? Okay. Right. Here we go. On February 16th, there's almost no notes at all. Oh yeah, we had to take this vomitiva, which is something that makes you vomit. I can't remember which day it is. It's probably in the notes that I didn't read. So we take this plant, this green plant. Tasted sort of sweet, didn't taste bad, the drink. And then you have to drink lots of water. And you throw it up, and basically they tell you to stop drinking water once you've actually thrown out the green stuff. It took me quite a while. I actually had to force it with fingers. It was not very pleasant, and I'll post a photo of me after that, and oof, wasn't very good. Okay, this is ceremony 3. Actually, I'll do another one for this because this video is already long enough.